The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions, and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Everybody, thanks for tuning in. This is Two Beards Talking. I am Daniel Sanders.
And I'm DonnieJ.
And if you're watching us, then God have mercy on your souls.
Because I have no idea what he's going to say. I really don't. I don't know.
We haven't really discussed it at all. Of course, with everything going on, COVID-19, all that crap, it's kind of obvious what we're going to talk about. Couple of surprises in there, though. But before we get to it, as we always do, we want to give a big shout out to the troops out there, men and women serving overseas and on the home front. We appreciate everything y'all are doing for us. Keep up the good work. Come home safe. We're all rooting for you here back home. And
one thing, they called up 800, I think it's 800 or 8,000, I believe it was, IRR, individual ready reservists, this past week to aid with the COVID-19 crisis. A lot of retirees, commissioned officers, because you're commissioned for life, are back on active duty right now, helping out. And you guys, I can't say enough about, it's just awesome to see this many people say, hey, I'm here. Let's do it.
It kind of sounds like the whole stop loss thing they were doing during my time. Of course, a lot of people weren't as thrilled to. Yeah,
that was the thrill to help out with that one. But here, and like I said, it's mainly medical personnel, retirees, doctors, commissioned officers. Haven't heard of any corpsmen being called up. And it's just really, I saw something today, and I'm sorry to cut in here, but people are referring to what's going on now as like the apocalypse. Okay. I drove to a town today, and it really looked like a ghost town. I mean, normally on a bustling Sunday, the mall was closed, everything, the streets were like maybe 15 cars I saw. I was on the interstate briefly. And I got to thinking, man, it really does look bad, but another person had a different take on it. It was somebody posted on Facebook that said, what you're actually seeing, people think it's the apocalypse. People think it's a terrible thing. But look at it from a different perspective. What you're seeing right now is an outpouring of love and support and our country coming together, because people are staying inside because they know that it's saving lives. It's one of the most selfless things that people have seen. Now, nobody likes having their businesses shuttered, and that sucks. But again, we'll get it with COVID-19 later. Just the outpouring of support, the individual ready reserve being called up. Didn't really have to be called up. A lot of them volunteered, say, hey, you need me. This country's coming together like it never has before, and it's an awesome thing to see.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have a special guest on the line with us this evening, a good friend of mine, Cutler Lewis. He is currently driving over the road. He's an over the road trucker, hauler. I think he said he's going to Houston. I'm not real sure. We'll get to him. Well, he can hear us, but we can't hear him right now.
Okay, all right.
We'll get to him here in just a minute. But before we do, I just want to share my experience with something that happened today. I went and played golf today.
Of course.
Well, what else am I going to do when there's a quarantine going on?
Well, at least you can keep, 6 feet away from everybody else.
I thought I could until today.
Really?
Oh, Jesus
Because so many people were out golfing?
Yes. And let me explain something to you. If you've played golf for anything longer than 2 weeks, you know this rule. And it's not even really a rule. It's etiquette. But I was playing today, and I walk the course. Plain and simple. I walk the course. I do it for cardio reasons, and I also do it because it's cheaper. Because it's either $20 it's $20 for 9 holes with a cart, or it's $10 for me to walk the course, and I can play as many holes as I want.
Okay.
So, so I'm playing today, and get to the tee box, first tee, nobody in front of me. Hit my tee shot. As I'm walking up to my ball, a twosome behind me had come off the 9th green. They were wrapping around, starting back on 1. They apparently were not paying attention, hit their tee shots. So I let them play through because I was walking. They were on carts. Y'all go ahead and play through. They finished up the hole. I waited for them to tee off on the second tee because I was right in front of the second tee. And I hit my shot onto the green. Well, there was a fivesome behind them who was not paying attention. I finished up the hole, got to the second tee box, was going to let the fivesome play through. Because it's a larger
Being the
green.
gentleman that you are.
Absolutely. Again, because I'm walking. So I let the fivesome play through. And, you know, they get on down the fairway. I hit my tee shot. I walk up to the ball. I get around to the third hole, and they're just getting onto the green on the third hole when I'm hitting my second shot. I actually had to lay up my second shot on a par 5, which kind of pissed me off.
You laid up on par 5.
I kind of had to. Because
okay, 10 cup.
If I had hit my 3-wood, I would have been on the green. But I pulled my hybrid 3 and I laid up about 20 yards off the green. Let them finish up. I finished up the hole with a par. Walk over to the fourth tee box. They've already teed off 2 of their guys. Third one is teeing off as I'm walking onto the tee box. Now, etiquette states you are supposed to let faster players play through. Now, even though I'm walking and I'm an average golfer, I'm having a decent day, even though I'm walking, they have 5 people in their group playing off all 3 tees. So it's taking them 10 minutes to get everybody teed off. I can hit my tee shot, play my second shot by the time they get to the guy who's ready to tee off on the ladies' tees.
Sounds like you were kind of teed off anyway.
I was a little bit teed off because they didn't let me play through.
Oh, you let them, and then they didn't let you.
Exactly. I finally got caught up to them. They didn't even attempt to let. Now, I'm not the kind of person who's going to say, hey, y'all are playing slow. Do you mind if I play through? Because, again, etiquette should state faster players play through.
Okay.
They should know this.
Well, 2 things. One, you're a golfer, maybe they weren't. Maybe they were just trying to find something that they could do, get out on a nice, beautiful day, an activity. But you could probably tell by the way they played that they probably weren't the most avid golfers. Okay. So maybe they didn't know etiquette. You would think that most people would refresh themselves with basic etiquette. I mean, I'm a pool shooter, and you don't walk in front of someone when they're taking a shot.
Right.
Okay. You don't shoot when somebody goes to the bar to get a drink, goes to the bathroom,
Yeah.
wait till they come back. There are certain things that you do. Even in basketball, there's certain things that's etiquette. When you're playing pickup games, 1-on-1, 3-on-3, whatever. But not everybody, and with even limited though it is right now, it's only going on a week. A lot of people are getting cabin fever right now. So you got people that are out doing things they don't normally do. I fed ducks twice this week. I fed the ducks at the lake. Not exactly my activity of choice, but I enjoyed the sunshine and it was nice. But you got a lot of people doing a lot of stuff they don't normally do just to keep from getting cabin fever. So you got to look at it.
Again, I can tell, like I said, this is something that you learn even if you've only been playing golf for just 2 weeks,
right?
Unless just nobody told you, and you're just going out by yourself or whatever, and you just don't know. Usually by about the 3rd time that you've played golf, you know proper etiquette.
Okay, a lot of our listeners and viewers probably don't know golf etiquette.
They probably don't. But these guys that were in front of me, I guarantee you they've played golf more than 2 or 3 times. They know the etiquette.
Just chalk it up to people just really not paying attention, just trying to enjoy the day.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of that going on right now.
That's exactly my take on it is, you know what? It's a beautiful day. I've got nowhere else to be. I'm just trying to enjoy the day.
Just enjoy the day.
But I just, once I get into a groove, I hate slowing myself down, especially on the golf course.
Well, these are difficult times for everyone, even golfers.
Oh,
next.
God. Oh, Jesus. So, yeah. If you play golf and you know the etiquette, practice it, plain and simple. Now, getting away from that, I discovered a video recently, and I don't have it queued up here. I'm not even going to try to queue it up just because of the fact. I mean,
is this the actor?
Yes.
Oh, man.
I say fuck a lot.
You're a Marine. I'm a sailor. These things happen.
I mean, judiciously, I use the word fuck a lot.
I try to refrain from it when we're broadcasting, but and on radio, I never, ever, ever, ever have said that. But yeah, it happens sometimes.
It
But
does.
This guy, man.
So Michael Rappaport.
And many of you probably don't know who he is because he's, we were talking earlier. I would call him, he's definitely not A-list, probably not even a B-list actor, more like, I don't know, C.
I'm gonna pull up his work history here, his acting credits.
Not the most esteemed credentials in the he's got his SAG card and maybe that's about it. I don't know, but he's had a couple of bit parts here and there.
Yeah, so I can.
But he's not a Trump fan.
No, he is not by any means. So, okay, so now that I see his acting list here, there are a few movies of his that I have seen. Biggest one I could think of was Men of Honor. He played the stuttering sailor in the dive school that got kicked out.
Right.
And Cuba Gooding Jr. worked his ass off and made a deal to get him brought back in.
Right. I remember that.
So he's also been in the movie Deep Blue Sea.
Okay.
The Sixth Day with Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was his business partner.
Okay.
Dr. Dolittle 2. Not really sure who he played in Dr. Dolittle 2. He might have been one of the voices.
But anyway, not Academy Award nominations
no,
in there, or
no,
Oscars, or
no.
No daytime Emmy, no nothing like that.
Yeah, no bit parts and small roles mostly.
Like I said, he's got his Screen Actors Guild card, which to get that you have to say a word or a line in a movie, and you get your SAG card. A lot of people never get them because they're just like extras in the background. When you have a line, you get your Screen Actors Guild card.
Yeah.
And he's got that. So
I liked the way Team America put it when they called it the Film Actors Guild.
Anyway, continue on about this young lad.
He released this profanity-laced tirade against President Trump recently on TikTok. And I mean, just you've heard the expression where people think if they use a lot of profanity and everything, it makes them sound tougher and meaner, and not with this guy.
No, and watching it, it's, okay, if you're going to go on a profanity-laced tirade like he did, at least have something, I don't know, remotely intelligent or on point to say.
Yeah. I
mean, he was rambling. He was, I don't know, did he get high, get drunk? Was he, I don't know the deal, but yeah, I mean, he really did not, I've heard people use more profanity than that, and they sounded more intelligent. This guy just, and whether you're a Trump supporter or not, if you're going to go online and he had like one person support him, and he had like a lot of people just, dude, really.
Yeah. So like I said, he goes off, and he's obviously pissed off about this whole COVID-19 thing and the comment President Trump made where, he's wanting to see the regular people get back to work and so on and so forth. And
he went off and said, regular people, you don't know what the regular people are. You've never worked a day in your life.
Yeah, exactly. And, he said, why don't you send your kids out there? Dick Stain, Donald Trump Jr.
Oh, yeah. The things he was saying, you don't have to get into it. You can check it out online. Don't, yeah. And when you attack, okay, here's the thing. In politics, there is an unwritten rule. And it's not been adhered to so much in the past few years, but there's an unwritten rule that you want to attack the candidates, you want to attack the incumbent, fine, go after that person. You want to
leave their family alone.
Right. You want to sling mud, but don't attack the kids.
Yeah.
Now, again, here we go. If you put yourself out in the spotlight, if you put yourself up there, if you're doing something like Jared, like Donald Trump Jr., like some of the other members of his family, they're actually taking an active part in the administration.
Yeah.
And whether you like what they do or not, once you put yourself out there, you're a public figure and you're open. But Barron, how old is he?
He's like 13, 14, something like that.
Leave the kid alone.
Yeah. Plain and simple.
That's just, it's an unwritten rule. And I think that's just, whether you like the actor or not, and hell, I hardly know who he is. I remember the parts that you called up, but I mean, other than that, what is your beef, man? Shut the hell up.
Yeah. Say what you want to say. Say what you want to say.
Yeah, I don't care what your position is in anything, politics or whatever. If you have a position, if you like this, you don't like this, you're for this candidate, you're against this candidate, you like what they're doing, you don't, be on point, defend your position, be able to give a valid defense or prosecution of what's going on.
Yeah.
Don't just, an F-bomb laden tirade because he didn't really say anything. Well, one person, he made a comment about, somebody made a comment about the president's salary. One of the people that responded to his tweet and in the Facebook tirade, that the president's been working hard and his salary, he's working for free.
Yeah.
That is technically true. The president has, donated his salary to different people, to different organizations. I think he's donating it to COVID-19, the SARS COVID-19 effort. It's $450,000 a year. Now, that's a lot of money to me. It's a lot of money to you.
Yeah.
A lot of money to average American out here. To Donald Trump, that's a weekend at Mar-a-Lago. That's him and 15 of his buddies at Pebble Beach.
Yeah.
Put that in perspective. He's a billionaire, so $450,000 is, a weekend bender.
Yeah,
literally.
Absolutely.
George Washington, first president of the United States. People used to make, he refused to accept a salary. This is true. However, he did accept a $10,000. This is what he was when he was in charge of the Continental Army. He did accept a $10,000 expense account.
Yes.
Okay. In other words, and back then, that was a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not like the president is having to make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches because he's donated his salary to help whatever. The man's not hurting. But put that in perspective, not many presidents have donated their salary, so I got to give props to the president of the United States for doing that.
Absolutely.
However, a charity that gets that $450,000 is going to be happy.
Yes.
As for helping research for the COVID-19, maybe not so much because R&D and research and developing cures, vaccines, whatever, takes a whole lot more than $450,000.
Yeah.
But still, he's doing his part. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the Michael Rappaport thing just really, I just watched it and I really couldn't make any sense of what he was saying. He tries to say that the president's isn't getting out there with the common man. Well, he's the president of the United States and he is a billionaire. That said, he's the guy in charge right now. Whether you like him, whether you hate him, at this time, in this country, what's going on right now, I do believe the president deserves our support. That said, we're going to get into that in a minute about COVID-19 and some things that have been posted that have been put on social media, which are false, and some things that have been actually done in a press release, in a press conference that aren't right.
Well, before we get into that, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to direct this to Michael Rappaport on the very slim chance that this actually gets back to him. You are a straight-up piece of shit. You're a fucking hypocrite. You're not doing shit to help the average man. Shut the fuck up.
Daniel Wayne Sanders, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Don't hold back your emotions. Let us know how you really feel.
Oh, I
think you shouldn't hold back as much.
That was holding back quite a bit, to be honest.
I know. You're a Marine, so anyway.
So, but like I said, on the line, we have a special guest with us, a good friend of mine, driving over the road right now, hauling a load. I think he's going to Houston. So we're going to get to him now. Cutler, how you doing this evening, buddy?
Hello.
Hey, Cutler.
Hey, how's it going?
How you doing, buddy?
Doing all right.
Where you headed right now? What road are you on? Where are you on?
Oh, right now I'm on Mississippi 25, headed to Houston, Texas. I am out in the middle of nowhere.
Houston, Texas.
Wow. Now, you've been driving, how many days you been on the road?
I just left the house today after getting a reset in and starting over on my hours.
Turn him up a little bit.
Spend some time with my daughter and stuff like that.
Awesome. Now, just going through the towns and cities that you've seen, what have you noticed different than on your normal travels? Ghost towns. I went out today briefly. I was on Interstate 20 today briefly, and I checked some other places out, and I noticed that traffic was really light.
Well, so a couple of days ago, I was coming through Atlanta, and I hit Atlanta at peak traffic time in the morning for people to be going to work, and literally made it from Interstate 20 on the eastbound side of Atlanta all the way to Interstate 20 on the westbound side by taking the loop. And I have never, not one time in my career, I've been doing this for almost 10 years, not one time have I ever made it through Atlanta in 30 minutes.
So you took 285, in other words?
I took 285 all the way around, and it was smooth sailing.
In how many minutes? Under
about
30?
30 minutes. Yes.
Yeah.
It wasn't under.
So you were coming in. You were coming in from like the Greenville side, and you made it over to like the
Yes.
Birmingham side.
Yes.
In 30 minutes.
And
Jesus.
yes, it was. I was like, where the fuck is everyone at?
It's Walking
I know
Dead.
these people
Yeah.
are still working.
Now here's
You know.
for our listeners and our viewers out there. If you've never driven through Atlanta,
You've got Atlanta, and you've got a big
Oh,
loop
my.
around Atlanta called 285.
yes,
285, if you're not careful, you'll stay on it forever. You can get lost. Some people get on 285 and they never find their way back. It's just that's how it happens.
yes,
They're still out there today.
They've been stuck living in Atlanta.
Exactly.
They're down there
I
like,
couldn't find my way up 285, so I had to move to
Buying a
Atlanta.
house.
yeah.
Yep.
It's and the other thing about it, the traffic in Atlanta. When there's traffic in Atlanta,
Oh,
what you're describing right now sounds like Atlanta at 2:00 in the morning.
Mhm.
that's what I was fixing to say.
Try that
The
at-
traffic I experienced is literally like 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. traffic, and it was 7:30, 8:30 in the morning.
Wow, that's the commute
Now-
time in the morning. That's the morning
Yeah.
drive time. That's like be there on like a Friday afternoon at
Oh,
4
Lord.
o'clock in the summertime. Oh my God, I don't know where you're going, but you need to allow for about 2.5 hours to get literally from where he just talked about getting 30 minutes.
Yeah,
I have seen 2-hour times to get from there going around the loop to get to the other side.
yeah.
And it's
Oh yeah, and don't go through the middle if you're a truck driver. Do not stay on I-20 and try to go through the middle or any other interstate that goes through, because let one state trooper be there. One.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody stops.
Georgia just made its quota
Mhm.
Yeah.
for for this whole quarter, because the tickets they write,
Did you know today?
you go straight through.
Today,
It's
I did not see.
ridiculous.
I did not see one state trooper on Interstate 20.
Now that's unheard of.
Not one.
Because when I came back from Florida, I had to come through Atlanta, and of course I was coming up I-75 that way.
Mhm.
And it took me 30 minutes just to get from the airport on I-75 to the 75-85 split.
Right.
And he's talking about getting from the Greenville side of Atlanta
To the Birmingham side
to
of
the
Atlanta.
Birmingham side of Atlanta in the same amount of time.
And literally, it's like
on
if,
the northern side of the loop.
right.
that you
If,
took.
if you do a circle around Atlanta, you got Atlanta right here, and you got a big circle around it. Coming in from South Carolina side, from like you're coming in from Augusta. Okay.
Yeah.
Right here is what they call the Greenville side. Now you can go this way, or you can go this way. Go this way, you're going down to Macon. You head
Yeah.
south.
Yeah.
This way, you're coming around. You're going to hit. It's going to take you right to the Birmingham exit, and
Yeah.
to go around that way, that's the quickest way. But even so, that said, in the summertime and on any other peak time, you're looking at an hour and a half. If you're lucky, an hour. If not, we're looking at 2 hours, maybe 2.5. I've seen it take 3 hours before on at peak times. Holiday, Memorial Day, Labor Day, man, you can forget it.
Yeah. Even going down to Florida, and mind you, I make sure I plan my trip so that way when I hit Atlanta, it is nowhere near rush hour.
Right.
Even going down to Florida on I-75, it still took me almost an hour to get through Atlanta.
Wow. So let me ask you a question. We've seen a lot of support, and rightly so, for the truckers that are getting the supplies to our stores everywhere, all over the country. Have you seen a large outpouring of support? Have people been supportive, brought you meals, food, that sort of thing, or is it business as usual?
Well, so because of my job, I'm home more than your average over-the-road driver.
Right.
But I do have a lot of friends that work for the companies that are 300 drivers and above.
Mhm.
They work for your larger and mega companies. I have heard about those guys from those guys. They've actually told me about, a manager from McDonald's pulling into the truck stop and handing out, like McDoubles
Uh-huh.
to
That's
every
awesome.
driver, one per person in the trucks. And then, so I've heard those stories. I haven't witnessed it myself because, like I say, I'm home more than I'm
Right.
not. I actually have a semi-normal schedule again since I'm back where I'm at now. And but one thing I've noticed when this all first started and they first started closing down the restaurants,
Mhm.
you would walk into a truck stop, and if you weren't there to buy a Snickers, you might not eat because they didn't have the hot bars open, Like you can go in and just quick grab something that's pre-wrapped and
Yeah.
been warmed up in the microwave. They didn't have that stuff. They didn't have their rollers going. They did, it was
What? No hot dogs?
it was for some of your guys that don't bring groceries on the road.
Mhm.
Now they've started cooking these things again and taking the steps to actually pre-package them.
To
And
limit the
so,
exposure.
Like you would make a hot dog, but now your hot dog's already pre-packaged. And, you have to ask for the condiments and stuff to go because they've taken all that away. And I agree with that. That's great. The only thing I've noticed is there are still some drivers out here that don't care.
What do you mean by they don't care? Like
6 foot rule, this whole social distancing.
Right.
The other day I was in Carnesville, Georgia. So if I die of COVID-19,
it came from
took
Carnesville.
place in Carnesville, Georgia. This guy walks up. Now I'm in this section. I'm looking at something.
Don't tell me he sneezed
And
on
all
you.
of a sudden, dude, he started coughing like he was fixing to die and coughed all over my right arm. I tripped over my feet. I hit the floor. I jumped up. I looked at him like I was fixing to kill him. I had to go. I was like, oh, my God. Went straight to the bathroom. I'm washing up to I got my shirt off. And I'm washing all the way up to my freaking neck, washing my face.
Pouring sanitizer on
him.
it.
He's like, sorry. I'm like, sorry, don't cut it.
Oh.
6 feet, asshole, 6 feet. Why you coughing to where I feel you cough on my arm?
Now, what's funny about this, the reason why I'm laughing so hard, like I said, Cutler is a friend of mine.
Mhm.
He and I used to work together. And for those of you who don't know, Cutler is, about 6'4", about 300 pounds, roughly, give or take?
Roughly about 6'4", and
Right.
I weigh about 294 now.
Ah, okay. So yeah, between 290 and 300 on a good day, and about 6'4". He's a big guy. He's what you kind of picture when you picture a truck driver.
Right.
I'm just sitting here picturing him moving and jumping around like that.
Hey, man.
That must have been like a 50th degree black belt trying to do a cough. I was like, no, God, no. Are you kidding me? This is biological warfare, you son of a bitch.
Well,
why would you do that?
I was in a store in Georgia today, and it was like I was expecting when I walked in. I was expecting, and I didn't touch anything, not really. I was, pretty much keeping my distance, but there must have been 40 people in this small convenience store, the truck stop. It wasn't a truck stop. It was like a store across from the truck stop. There must have been 40 people in there. People were just sitting at the table, playing, scratch offs and doing lottery and I'm looking and I'm like, and the only person practicing any sort of protocol was the young lady, well, two of them that were behind the counter. They were like, okay, keep your distance, and doing their business, but still they were making contact with things, were making contact with other people, but they were trying to limit their exposure, but they got to take the money. I saw something funny today, stopped to get gas, and this guy put his money, put a couple of dollars and some change to pay for whatever it was on the counter. And I kid you not, the lady behind the counter grabbed a can of Lysol. When he walked away, waited until he got outside the door, grabbed a can of Lysol, and covered it. And I just shook my head. She's like, I'm sorry. I'm like, hey, spray away right here. Not a problem, And some people are taking it seriously, and some people just don't care.
Yeah. And
that's one of the things I've noticed is you've got people out here. It's two extremes. There's no one in the middle. There's two extremes. You've got your people that they are taking precautions when they go out. They're wearing a mask. I've got gloves right here beside my door that are mechanics gloves, like in the doctor's office, the non-latex gloves.
Right.
And I put those on before I go in a truck stop. Now, I don't wear a mask because I don't like things blocking my face. I already have a steroid inhaler. I'm a smoker. I'm literally like working against myself here. So things blocking my face just bother me. I don't like it. It's just a personal thing. But I wash my hands constantly. If I have to go when I'm home, if I have to go into town, I plan my whole day that day because most likely when I'm home, I have my child. So I already have a change of clothes laid out
Mhm.
for when we walk in the door. First thing we do, we go in, we get what we need, we get in the truck, we go home. When we get home, and I'm taking pickup truck, not this truck.
Right.
When we go home, first thing we do, she gets stripped down, gets her bath, and then we put her in, after I've washed my hands, we put her in new clothes. We start a movie so she can watch it 'cause she's 3. And then I do the same thing. I don't touch any of the fabrics in my place of living, nothing, because I don't want to bring that into my home. I'm a bachelor. I don't have the cleanest house, but it's disinfected. And then you've got people out here, like, for instance, I was in Walmart the last time I went.
Oh, my God. We'll get on Walmart in a second, but yeah,
you're my daughter with me. I had her with me, and of course she's 3. She's like, hi, she loves the world. And this lady was like, you're just a doll, and goes in for her. And I jerked the buggy back. I'm like, whoa, no, ma'am. And she goes, you don't have to be rude. I'm like,
yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. That's my 3-year-old daughter. There are people dying out here from a virus attacking your, I know the word, but I can't think of it.
Your immune system.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yes,
I mean,
attacking your immune system,
yes.
attacking your breathing, your sinuses, your respiratory system.
Yeah.
Well, what they don't.
She's 3 years old.
What they don't.
Go ahead.
What they don't realize is this. And they don't mean anything by it, but here again, it's understanding the nature of this disease. And we're going to get into that here in just a second. Just because you don't have any symptoms, just because the person you're talking to doesn't have any symptoms, does not mean it's not present.
Right.
And everybody's saying there's two schools of thought going on right now. We're alarmist and we're making more out of this than it should be. And then the other school is we're not taking this seriously enough. Maybe somewhere in the middle are people who are doing what they should and kind of having a measure of both, a sense of both sides. But what I've seen is the two sides. And, today, I went to a place I didn't think was going to have 30 people in there, but I did have on rubber gloves because as I carried gloves in the car, just in case there's an accident somewhere and I want to be able to help out, but I want to be able to put gloves on. So I had those. And when I left, and I took the gloves off and threw them away.
Right.
If you keep the gloves on and you keep using those gloves everywhere, it's no different than if you don't have any gloves on. And people just don't understand the protocol. But again, there's two schools. We're being alarmist and there's more of this. We're making too much of this and we're not taking this seriously enough. And what you just said, Cutler, was that, you've seen people that just aren't paying attention. They're not thinking this thing through. And you don't know. It's a 14-day incubation period for the most part. Yeah. I think 10 to 14 days. So you could have it. I could.
I mean, yeah.
And we don't know.
I get nervous as it is. Trust me, I have contemplated the thought of locking my doors when I'm home and just not seeing my child, not going and seeing my family, because I cross state lines.
Mm-hmm.
I go in and out of truck stops constantly. I'm in and out of warehouses constantly. I'm filling out COVID-19 sheets every time I go into a shipper or receiver.
Wow.
Stating whether or not I have symptoms or I've been somewhere that's got symptoms, yada, 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 so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, those thoughts have crossed my mind because it's like, man, if my daughter catches this, she's 3 years old.
Yeah.
Right?
Her system is not set up to defend from that kind of attack.
Yes. You're absolutely
and
right.
It's like I told that woman, I said, you haven't seen Root yet, but if you touch my child,
it's coming.
You will.
Now,
and the manager stepped in, was like, please calm down, and told her, man, there's a 6-foot social distancing protocol right now.
Social
We're gonna
distancing?
need you to
What is
respect
that?
And leave, if you can't.
Right.
And she got really angry and threw her stuff down and walked off. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Hey, there's a gallon of bleach for me.
Well, touching on the COVID-19 thing right now, and there's 80% of the people in this country, and you got to think statistics here, and statistics are boring. I hated statistics in college, but here they really come. They come into play here. If the doctors are correct, 80% of the people in this country may not may not be affected by it. There'll be some will be asymptomatic, which that's a whole different ball game right there. But it'll some people will get it, they'll have the milder symptoms, they'll get over it, and boom, they're done. Now there's another 20%, and from what I've studied and what I've read, and I'm not an MD, but what I've read is that of that 20%, there's 5%, there's 10% that's going to get sick, and they're going to have symptoms. They're going to have to go to the hospital. Okay, and this percentage is usually are going to be the older people, people with compromised immune systems, Hashimoto disease. There's a whole list of them. COPD. Mm-hmm. If you've had a heart attack, if you have heart problems, if you have high blood pressure, some of these things, this disease is going to affect you. Of that 20%, there's going to be a 5% that's going to have to go in, maybe be put on a ventilator, have oxygen. And it's going to go further. There's going to be another percentage that's actually got to go in be in ICU. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot until you break the numbers down. We're talking about 10%, 20% of the population of the United States.
Right.
Which is more than enough to overwhelm the hospitals, to overwhelm the ICU floors, it has the potential to be really, really devastating. And again, we're looking at people with compromised immune systems. They're the ones that are at risk. And some of those right now are going, well, I'm fine. You don't know 14 days from now. Yesterday, I had to go to Walmart, and I hate it. I had to go. And it looked like, I don't know, there was a big sale going on. There must have been 400 or 500 cars in Walmart. Jeez. And I went in the store, and it was packed. And I got what I had to get, and I got the hell out of there as fast as I could. And I tried not to be around anybody. And some people had masks on. Some people wore gloves. Mm-hmm. And some people just didn't care. And I thought to myself, we shut all the stores down, all the non-essential businesses, and hell, everybody went to Walmart.
Yeah.
This is the group of people that are not taking this seriously enough.
Yeah.
I was one of them, unfortunately, but
same situation. I had to go to Walmart yesterday.
I think everybody went to Walmart yesterday.
Yeah, but I was at a different Walmart.
Because at 5 o'clock, the theory was, oh my God, the state's shutting down. So
I go to Walmart yesterday, and I actually ran into a friend of mine, and we were standing there talking, and there's this woman. She was digging through the cheap movie bin, the $3 movie bin.
Yeah, I looked at that. And I'm like, no.
She had her gloves on. She had her mask on. Now, exactly. I'm standing on the other side of the bin where, they've got the sign in the center of it where it says like 3, whatever the price is. So she can't even see me. I'm standing there talking to my friend. And I had one of the most violent sneezes I have ever had. Come on, now, it was just a single sneeze. It wasn't like a rapid fire or anything like that. It was just one solid achoo.
And there was a look of abject horror.
And like I said, this woman could not even see me. All she saw was like this much of my body underneath the sign.
But she was gone.
But she saw my body flinch when I did that sneeze.
Oh, man.
And she dropped everything in her hands, left her buggy sitting right where it was at, and she turned around and bolted the other direction.
And let me point something out. Right there, when she did that, you know what? It was too late.
It was.
It's too late. Yeah, you reacted. It's too late. A sneeze, and it goes everywhere.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a mask on, if you're not...
in all directions.
And, yeah, she reacted too late.
Yeah. Despite the fact that I followed my protocol
stay in your lane.
He's on the road right now.
He is on the road
you
right
can tell,
now.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Despite the fact that I followed as much protocol as I could of pointing it in a safe direction, treating it like a firearm. I pointed it in a safe direction. And, I sneezed into my arm.
Pointed your sneeze in the right direction, okay?
I sneezed into my arm. I didn't, just let it go uncovered or anything like that. I sneezed into my arm. Didn't matter. This woman freaked the fuck out, and she gone.
Well, like I just said, by the time when you sneezed and she reacted, it was already too late.
Oh, yeah.
And this is so funny. I was watching a movie the other night. I jokingly call it quarantine cinema, but like a different movie, whatever. And Stephen King's The Stand.
Yes, we were talking about that.
And, there's been so many parallels with different movies lately. That's one of them. But I was watching The Stand, and at the very beginning is when Captain Trips breaks out. and they're telling the guy, shut the gate, shut the gate. What does he do? He goes and gets his wife and his baby, and then he gets in the car and he leaves without shutting the gate. You were just given an order, shut the gate, but by that time the disease was already out. It was already airborne. It was in the air.
Yeah.
But he didn't. He decided he was going to get away from it. Folks, you're not getting away from it. If somebody sneezes and they've got it, you got it too.
Absolutely.
If you're in the grocery store and they pick up a pack of chicken and go, nah, that's too much, I don't want it. Man, I don't want that chicken either.
Yeah.
That chicken's not getting eaten by me, but somebody else may come along and pick it up because, and it goes on and on and on, and people
Donnie,
just.
you hit on it last week. One person gets it,
Mhm.
and they talk to 4 people.
Mm-hmm.
Now 4 people have it, and then 16 people have it, and then 64 people have it.
Exactly.
And it just,
it's exponential.
And it just keeps, yes. And that's what people aren't realizing. And I mean, truck drivers, the trucking industry planned for this. This is the crazy part is when this all first got announced, they already started talking about the industry and the hours of service regulations. That's what was crazy to me is because I was like everybody else, like, please, it should be like the flu.
Yeah.
You got 10,000 people a year dying from the flu. We've lost 300 worldwide to this, blah, blah, blah.
And what day was this? How many weeks ago was this?
This was when they
First
announced it, and everybody started buying toilet paper. Like, you're going to go home and wrap yourself like a mummy, and then sew the seam shut with
right.
Mid to late February.
Right, mid to late February is when this. Okay.
And so what they did was the industry actually planned on losing drivers to COVID-19, and they actually decided, okay, if you're hauling, there's a regulation. If you're hauling FEMA products,
right,
and you have the proper documentation, your hours of service are exempt because that's an emergency load.
Right.
They had already started discussing that industry-wide.
Wow.
About doing an exemption because they knew that they were going to have drivers who were like, no, I'm not going to be exposed to this. They were going to go home. Now, luckily, in my experience, I have not seen where they've had to do that because I'll tell you, when I first started, I used to run Outlaw. I've run paper logs, and I'm telling you now, you fudge up
right
out the window and keep on going with a new one. Every truck driver that got a CDL before, 2015 has probably done it. But I'm not young anymore. Like, I went to the gym a couple of weeks ago and thought, hell yeah, I'm going to butt this out.
Yeah.
And Daniel can tell you, it was the worst experience of my life. I was standing there at the door stretching just so I could move my arms. It was so bad. My chest, back, everything. I just ruined myself.
Yeah, he's sitting there crying to me going, this is the
Oh
first
my God,
time I've been
dying.
able to lift my arms over my head in 3 days.
Yes.
We're not young anymore, no.
Yeah, and so I'm like, man, I am not young anymore. Well, then I go to the VA, and the VA does my yearly, and they were like, you're not 21 anymore. You can't do that. And I got to thinking about that. I'm like, man, if they were to turn around and say, okay, when you pick your load up, you don't stop unless you need to sleep.
Right.
Now, I want to ask you this.
Would not work.
I want to ask you this. Now, how has the whole, like we were talking the other day on the phone, and you were dropping off a load somewhere, and like it seemed like you were having to jump through all of these hoops to get the load dropped off and off the truck and everything. How has this COVID-19 shit, how has it affected your job as far, has it made it any easier? Is it more difficult now as far as dropping off a load or picking up a load or anything like that? Do you just sit in the truck or let somebody else take care of it? What's the deal?
As far as the travel, it has made the travel easier because there's less traffic on the road.
Right.
Now, that's not to say that the traffic that's on the road is not stupid as shit, because as you've heard me talk about tonight,
get in your lane.
Yeah. And then you get like the cars that want to sit right beside your tandems, and you're just sitting there imagining the most horrific thing, because all of us having, being veterans, having been and seen things that you don't want to talk about.
Yes.
If you blow out one of these tires, man, these things have 100, 110 pounds of pressure in them. And so somebody's sitting there beside your tandems, you hit a pothole, blow a tire,
That,
and it blows through their windshield.
and they're
Yeah.
dead. They're
You
dead.
just killed 2 people.
Yep, exactly.
Exactly. And people don't get it. So you still have that aspect of it where people are just like, oh, it's a big truck, let me thumb button the phone. But outside of that, the travel has become significantly easier. I mean, it's almost boring now because you're like, I want someone to yell at because I'm getting this.
Well, it sounds like you're doing okay this evening. We heard you earlier, so.
Yeah. But as far as your warehouses, man, they don't have public restrooms anymore. They don't have, I mean, some of them aren't even putting out porta potties.
What?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're getting to a lot of these customers. They don't have restrooms, and some of them don't even have porta johns. And it's like, dude, seriously, just because people are sick don't mean we can't, we don't have to go to the bathroom
Right.
still.
So return the
But you're
favor and
running
piss on the
that.
side of their building.
Well, this
Yeah.
is the what I was talking about earlier, the two extremes. One group of people that are like being considerate, and one group of people that are being alarmist and freaking out, which is, again, I can't emphasize enough that you should take it seriously. But, these are you guys, guys like you, truckers, and women and men like you who are bringing the products to us that everybody is gobbling off the shelves and hoarding. That said, you guys are doing a phenomenal job, and that's why I was asking earlier, are people actually coming out and supporting you, bringing you food, like you said, the manager from McDonald's, but not even having a porta potty or letting you use the restrooms?
Yeah,
This ridiculous.
Like I say, some of them are, and some of them aren't. Now, and the load that Daniel was talking about, that was actually in Fort Payne. And I'd been to that customer before. Normally you ring a bell, they buzz the door, you go inside, get your paperwork signed, and that's it. Oh, man, you can pull up to the gate now. You got to hit the doorbell. Who is this? You tell them, I'm so-and-so with this company. I've got this delivery. Okay, well, are you just a drop and hook? Well, yeah, luckily for me, yes. And they're like, oh, okay, well, we'll let you in. What would you have done if it was a live unload? Send me home?
Yep. There was a thing that I saw. There was a thing I saw earlier this week, and they were talking about different times in history where pandemics and epidemics have sparked fear in the populace, and one of those was Henry VIII. I am Henry VIII. Anyway, during the Black Plague, he locked himself inside his room and would not come out for anyone. It wouldn't come out, and that's like I said, the two groups. You got people who are freaking out. If you take the precautions, and here again, we're going to get into COVID-19 in just a second. You take the precautions, you're still at risk. And I'll hit this right now. This is why. Back to the nature of this. It's something that they call it. You heard it called the novel coronavirus.
Yeah.
Novel meaning new, meaning something we haven't seen before, and this is why. This disease mutated. Okay, it started out as something that was among animals. Okay, and I haven't really confirmed this. I've heard somebody ate a bat soup or something. I don't know. Only Ozzy Osbourne can eat a bat and survive and do well. Okay, everyone should know that by now. Only Ozzy gets away with that, right? And look at him today. But anyway, this disease went from being just between animals, and it jumped, it mutated, and then a human got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Then here we go again. It was only supposed to be airborne, and then it mutated again, and now it's airborne, but it's also contact, and the disease has defied expectations. It's done things that we didn't see coming. And here's another thing about COVID-19: the disease that mutated and mutated again. Now, okay. We have no immunity built up to this.
Right.
We have immunity built up to the flu, cold,
COVID-18.
There's other diseases. I mean, I'm gonna even go as far as, and I may be wrong about this. I'm sorry, but like Ebola, we had an Ebola outbreak in 2014.
Yeah.
And people recovered from that. Your body builds up an immunity, but that takes time. And this thing jumped and mutated, and the human body has no natural immunity to it. So some of us, the healthy immune systems, I'm saying us, hoping that I'm one of them, and you too, Cutler.
Yeah.
But those of us with healthy immune systems can fight it off, and then once we get rid of it, once we've had the symptoms, we had the cough, and we get over it, now we've got an immunity to it.
Yeah.
But those with compromised systems, they don't have this immunity. And this is one doctor I read, he described it as a lung eater, which sounds pretty alarmist, but that this disease specifically attacks the lungs. Okay.
Right.
So COPD, people with asthma, people who are morbidly obese, people who have, like I said, Hashimoto disease, any kind of autoimmune deficiency. This disease, if you get it, if you don't catch it, if you don't catch it in time, if you get this disease, you are more at risk than anyone else. And that's, the majority of 80% of the population, yeah, they're going to be okay. But that 20% is more than enough to choke everything.
Yeah. And,
think about this. What do you do when your child gets sick? Your child can have a stuffy nose.
You're there.
Like, take some Benadryl. But as an adult, we're like, man, I feel sluggish today. Have a little bit of a hard time breathing, not feeling real good. And we're like, if I still feel this way tomorrow, I'll go to the doctor.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's why they're saying now, if you wait until you have the fever, if you wait until you're breathing,
you're behind
shallow,
the 8 ball.
Oh, yeah.
You're behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
Chances are you're not going to make it. Now, that also being brought up, my papa died in February of 13. Now, he was a smoker for a long time in his life, but near the end of his life, he started having problems with his lungs. And we couldn't figure out why, because this is a generally healthy man.
Right.
In his 80s. He's always worked hard. He's just that kind of guy. Like, you never seen him sitting around. And it was his lungs. His lungs literally gave up. Well, I remember asking the doctor, what caused this? And the doctor said, point blank, he's like, well, your grandpa had scar tissue from his, from when he was a smoker.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he quit smoking. And I got to doing a little bit of research because I used to be very into biology and human anatomy and physiology and things like that. Unlike most organs in your body, my liver, for example, Daniel didn't know about this.
Let's not talk about the liver, please.
Well, this was before I met Daniel, but I had psoriasis on my liver last year, early in the year. Well, then I did some dieting and, changed up how I was eating, what I was eating, when I was eating, my activity levels, things like that. And when I went back for a 6-month checkup, I no longer had psoriasis on my liver. That's a very hard thing to clear up, psoriasis, because that's hardening. That's fat deposits that are solidified that aren't going to go away, from what I understand by what the doctors told me. And mine went away. But the lungs, when you experience trauma to the lungs and they scar, it's there. It's forever. They do heal, but that scarring will always be there.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so what people aren't taking into consideration is this is a virus attacking your lungs. So if you've ever had a problem, if you've had an upper respiratory infection, and it was bad enough that you had to be on an inhaler, you have damage. If you're a smoker, you have damage. It don't matter what changes you make, you're going to feel better because they're going to try to heal, but essentially it's always going to be there.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the way I understand it. And so all these people that are still going out in groups and they're not taking these things seriously, all I can do is pray for them and hope that they don't have those issues, because I know me, I've smoked for a very long time. And even if I quit today, that damage is done to my lungs. So my mortality is decreased.
Yeah.
It's going to happen sooner than someone who's never smoked.
Yep. So I'm going to have to interject there because we're running out of time. Now, a couple of things to point out. I can't really say facts because I don't know it to be fact for sure. But I have been hearing from multiple sources right now, ibuprofen
Yes.
is absolutely the worst thing you can take if you have this disease.
Right. They recommend acetaminophen, and some people don't take it, can't take it.
Corpsmen everywhere are screwed.
Yeah. In the Navy is, it's take a couple Motrin. Take here 2 Motrin, drink some water. Take 4 Motrin. Take 6. But Motrin, ibuprofen prescribed everywhere. You take Motrin away from a corpsman, and it's like, you're going to die. There's nothing but ibuprofen. Yes, you're absolutely right, Daniel. Ibuprofen is, as they're saying, do not take it because it compromises the liver.
Yes.
And or other parts of the body, and makes you more vulnerable to the attack from COVID-19.
Yes.
Other things, and I know people are so bored and tired of hearing about COVID-19, but until, as they say, we flatten the curve, people need to start taking it more seriously. There are steps that you can take. There's a lot of different places. There was and if I can find it real quick, there was a doctor that did a podcast, not a podcast, but he did a broadcast, and he did a really, really great job of explaining it very simply as to what COVID-19 does, how it affects you, and he did a phenomenal job of it. I'm trying to find the video here.
I even think that video you're talking about, Cutler, I think you sent me this video.
He's an Oriental doctor, Asian doctor, I think.
No. I'm thinking of a different video.
Okay. But anyway, this doctor, he did a really great job breaking it down and explaining it really simply. But the basic gist of it is the disease is mutated. This is something that we've seen it before. SARS. It's a derivative of the SARS virus. COVID-19 does not stand for Chinese originated viral infectious disease number 19. That's not what it stands for. COVID-19 is the coronavirus. Viral infectious disease year 2019, because it originated in 2019. And that's what we're dealing with now. Just follow the basic steps. Protocol: wash your hands. If you're going out, if you must go out, wear rubber gloves. If you can wear a mask, wear a mask. Don't sneeze on anybody.
Cough all over them.
And if you're around somebody and they sneeze, you can freak out if you want to, but it's a bit late.
Yeah, absolutely.
And most importantly, don't take this thing lightly. Some people are going overboard, but then again, if they don't get the disease because they were alarmist, does that mean they were wrong?
I don't know.
But
we're going to have to leave it there. We're running short on time. If you're watching us live here on Facebook, don't forget to tune in on Monday nights at 10:30 Eastern on Armed Radio. If you're listening to us live on Armed Radio, don't forget to go to our Facebook page, Two Beards Talk Us. Two Beards Talking, like us, follow us, interact with us.
And
Can I say one more thing?
Sure thing. Go ahead, Colin.
To the people out here who are actually taking necessary precautions, thank you. And to the warehouses that the trucking industry is dealing with, if you're taking the necessary steps to limit exposure, I commend you for that. The industry understands that hours are going to be limited, and we respect that. We get it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a big deal if you let us use the restroom, please.
Give that man a porta potty.
Let the man go potty. Damn.
Hey, Cutler. Hey, buddy. You and all your trucker friends out there. A friend of mine, Heather, if she's watching tonight, she's also a trucker. People like Heather and truckers everywhere, thank you. God bless you for getting us the necessary supplies that we need. And whatever you do, buddy, take care of yourself. Okay.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yes,
we thank you, Cutler.
You guys having me on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you. So again, don't forget to go on our Facebook page, like us, follow us, interact with us, share the video, get the word out about us. We'd really appreciate the help with that and everything. Again, big shout out to the troops serving overseas and on the home front, men and women of uniform. We appreciate everything y'all are doing for us. Keep up the good work. Come home safe. We're all rooting for you here back home. This has been Two Beards Talking. I'm Daniel Sanders.
And I'm DonnieJ.
Thanks for listening, everybody.